Welcome back to the channel. Chelsea have just beaten Newcastle 3-2. A decent 3 points for Chelsea Football Club, if we're being honest. Isaac's joining me for this one. What are your thoughts, Isaac? We obviously went live at half-time to chat about the first half that was a bit all over the place. Second half kind of followed suit, but happy with the 3 points?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be happy, haven't you? I think, look, Newcastle was never going to be an easy fixture. I mean, of all the games we've had all season where we have dropped points, that was going to be one of the ones I thought we'd probably do it again, to be fair. And I know we beat them earlier on the season, but that was on penalties. It was a cup tie, slightly different circumstances. But no, mate, I'm happy we've won. I'm happy we've got the goals. And actually, I just want to take this moment to say, we didn't just get 3 goals today. We got 3 good goals. Like, Jackson's, I don't know. It's a good finish, right? I'll give it to the lad. It's a good finish. MUDRYK, a moment of magic. Cole Palmer, and a typical Cole Palmer, left-footed outside the box goal, but great finish nonetheless. Yes, we conceded 2 goals. We'll talk more about that because it's defensive issues yet again. But, mate, I am happy with the 3 points, and I'm happy with the 3 decent goals. And to be fair, actually, to Newcastle, 2 decent goals from their side as well. So it was a good game to watch. The first half I thought was boring. I wasn't happy, and I kind of was... You know, you probably gauged from the response that we spoke about at half-time. Wasn't really looking forward to the next 45. We actually said, are we going to go out and bottle this like we normally do? We didn't. We nearly did, but we didn't.
It was close, mate. It was close. I just want to remind everyone as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like this video for Chelsea getting 3 points. It's a rarity these days, especially against a decent side. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 2,500 subscribers, which is crazy. But, yeah, getting back into the game, I'm really happy with the fact that we've managed to get 3 points, because at half-time I was worried about what Pochettino was saying. I wasn't sure that we'd come out fighting, and we have. I don't think we've shown that enough this season under Poch. I think we've been poor at times, and I think he's been really complacent and a little bit nervous to tell his side to push on and try and kill the game off. And I thought at 3-1, I was really happy because we'd actually gone and killed the game off against the Newcastle side that... I mean, we were at the game the last time they come to the Bridge in the quarterfinals, and we never killed that game off because we were never even in a position to do so.
No.
This was very different, and actually, players turned up tonight. I think the first name we got to talk about is Jackson.
Yes.
Jackson was class, mate. That finish, great.
Yeah.
Great finish. Whether or not he means it or it's a better finish than what he is as a player. Actually, the other things that he had in his game tonight were quality. For MUDRYK's goal, he was really, really good. Even for Sterling's chance, he won the ball where he jumped up, wins the header. I think we're really starting to see Jackson improve. What have you made of him in recent weeks?
I hope so, mate. I do agree with you. I think the thing with Jackson from where I stand is that at the beginning of the season, he wasn't scoring enough goals, but I actually backed him for a long time. Like, I don't know if you remember, mate, but I would always back him and say, look, he doesn't score loads of goals. He does have a few issues there, but he's new to the Premier League. He's new to the game. He's only young. But he was doing things that I saw and I thought, that's promising, that's promising. Then he went to AFCON. Mate, I think it ruined him. He got benched a lot out there, didn't play an awful lot, came back, and I thought, this guy, like, I've just defended this guy for half a season, and he's come back and given me that. But it does look like he's slowly becoming back to the better version of himself that he was.
I think this is the best we've seen him in a Chelsea shirt. I think first part of the season, I couldn't take how much he rated himself for what he was delivering on the pitch.
Yeah.
I felt like he was getting booked more than he was scoring, and I just wasn't happy with what I was seeing because we obviously knew what we needed. We needed a world-class striker in the summer, and it didn't come. Mm-hmm. Come January, we didn't get one either, and ultimately he was away in that period of January, and we were relying on Broho and this miraculous return of Nkunku that was going to be the answer to all our problems. Neither of them happened. Broja obviously left, and Nkunku's come back and proved that he is not a striker and can't even stay fit and is not the answer to all of Chelsea's problems. However, coming back out of the shadows is Nicholas Jackson from a piss-poor AFCON for him as a player. He's come back and probably wasn't sure where he was standing with Nkunku coming back, and he's kind of said, no, this is my position. We've seen games of him playing as a left winger, which kind of eased him back in, and everyone was jumping on it saying, he's the best left winger we've got. Then I think he had a few quiet games at left wing, and he wasn't amazing. So, and there wasn't enough evidence for people to sort of stand and go, no, play him as a left winger, play him as a left winger. Actually, what we're seeing now, though, is a guy going, I'm the only striker left at this club that can stay fit, and I'm going to prove to you why you don't need to spend more money in replacing me. It's another goal tonight. I said at half-time, the goal against Leeds is an unbelievable finish. The header against Brentford is exceptional. And the goal tonight is a great flick, and the rest of his play was really, really good. And I think against Brentford, that would have been what I questioned. I think there was not so much good in what else he was doing on the pitch. But tonight's a really mature performance.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, and this is what you were telling me beginning of the season, and I wasn't letting it slide that much, was that he's still so young.
Yeah.
You kept telling me he's only 22, he's only 22. I think he might be 23 now. Either way, he's still such a young guy. That performance tonight, that's of a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
That's of a top striker who's 30 years old that's been doing it in the Prem all season.
It kind of comes across like he's one of these players that his performances get better as he gets better.
Yeah.
And I think you summed it up perfectly, because let's go back to Leeds where he got the goal. Then he goes to Brentford and gets a goal. Slowly but surely, his confidence is coming back, and all of a sudden we're seeing his performances get better again. And I think that's what happened with him at AFCON, is that he wasn't playing much there. Confidence suddenly drops. He comes back, takes him weeks to get back into it. He's getting hate from the fans, or, okay, let's not say hate, but stick from the fans.
Yeah.
But the whole team's getting stick from the fans, mate. So
The striker's always going to be the player that gets it the most as well. If they're
Especially
not
when you're the
delivering.
only one.
Yeah.
And you're right, and we sort of touched on it again at half time about Bro's gone temporarily. Nkunku injured, come back injured. He's got a few games left this season to really prove to him, the club, why he should still be here next season. And mate, I think he's taking that chance and he's going, look, do you know what? Like you said, you paid for me, you brought me to this club, and I'm going to show you why I want to stay here.
Yeah.
And as long as he keeps on doing what he's doing, mate, that's fine by me.
Yeah, just to finish on Jackson, we were talking and joking during the game, saying that, like, well, we weren't. When he first signed, I think we said, like, look, if this is a 1 in 3 striker and he ends up in double digits at the end of the season and he's got about 10 to 15 goals, we're probably all taking that off of a £30 million striker that's only ever scored 12 goals or whatever for Villarreal. And that was in a good month and a half spell. I think if we look at it as a season, yeah, he's had ins and outs, and it's been a bit of a rollercoaster, like it's been for the whole squad. But Jackson's been pretty consistent in terms of scoring goals. We joked and said, look, we'll knock off 3 for the Spurs game and see what he finishes on. So, honestly, I think we can give him 1 for that Spurs game, realistically, because he kind of stat padded a bit there. But this is a guy that's not on pens, and all of a sudden, from scoring tap-ins, like Haaland does, don't forget this, Haaland gets massive numbers, and a lot of them are tap-ins. Jackson's now showing he's got other goals in his game, and he's got other attributes to his game, which is what every other player that's come into Chelsea as a striker hasn't had. Bro didn't have it, and Nkunku's not shown it in a Chelsea shirt. Jackson is. He's showing that he can be key, and we saw that for the MUDRYK goal. Now, moving on to MUDRYK, we saw him coming on.
I think MUDRYK's a funny one for you, though, because you've not been his biggest fan, have you?
No, I haven't. I haven't been MUDRYK's biggest fan. I think because he sold us so much false hope in that Liverpool game and his debut, which we obviously watched together. We were out in Amsterdam watching that game, and we thought we'd sign the next Hazard. I remember when he come on, like our friend Liam was off the edge of his seat, jumping around, couldn't believe the player that we'd got. And then we've never seen that again. And then against Leeds in the first half, there was a glimpse. And it was like, wow, hang on, MUDRYK's clicked here. Like something has happened. This is the player we all thought. Then he went out to left wing and that disappeared again. And then all of a sudden tonight, off the back of a couple of like average performances again for MUDRYK, he comes on as a sub and he looks exceptional. Looks really bright, looks really exciting. And I think that's everything that Newcastle squad just didn't expect to hit them.
No.
His goal looked like what he looked like against Liverpool, that first ever game. He danced through their defence. I mean, what do you make of his performance?
Yeah, mate. I think you hit the nail on the head with it, really. I think it very much with MUDRYK at the minute, whilst he's still settling in, because look, the guy's not that experienced. Let's not forget, he's not the most experienced professional footballer. And I think for him, he's still figuring out where his best position is and how he can be the most effective. And we always talk about his speed. But like you said before, speed's only good if you can do something when you get to the end of the race. And if you're not doing that, you might as well just go to the Olympics and be a sprinter.
Yeah.
But I think he's figuring it out. And look, every pundit will tell you, give this kid time. Give this kid time. He's going to be the next best thing. Do we want to make the mistake? And I don't like to do these comparisons because I don't necessarily agree with them personally. But people were forever talking about the De Bruyne situation, the Mo Salah situation, the Lukaku situation, and however many others there's been in this time. they're all saying don't make the same mistake you did with all them, which I don't think is completely fair, but has got relevance to it. And I don't want to make that mistake, mate. And I do think when he comes on and does stuff like today, this kid is going to be good, and we do need to keep him. We need to back him. We need to find out where he fits best in this Chelsea system so that we can get the best out of him. But I do think it's that central role.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a place in the pitch where he can find space. He's not sort of focused on only being able to go one way and being predictable. He can go either way. We saw today he went left a few times, went right a few times. He ended up working his way out to a position to cross at one point from that area. And I think he looked really good, and his goal is exceptional. That's the best we've seen his footwork look and his control of the football. I mean, the nutmeg was outrageous. He is the type of player that excites you and gets you off your seat. And I think because of that reason, Chelsea fans want to back him. I'll be honest, he hasn't been good enough. But when you see flashes like that, you think, if you can get that every week, you've got a world beater on your hand with that type of pace as well.
Yeah.
Exceptional player. We hear all these stories about how good he is in training. And we haven't been lucky enough to see it as Chelsea fans.
But do you think he's not been, like, this thing that gets rolled around all the time about him not getting enough game time? Do you think that is the case in this situation? Because there must be a reason why.
Yes and no. I think he hasn't had enough game time. I think it's obvious to see that Sterling is always prioritised over him. And when you've had a career like Raheem Sterling, it's hard for a manager to go, hang on a minute, how can I drop Raheem Sterling when actually the players I put on in his position aren't doing much more than him? Tonight is one of the first nights MUDRYK's come on and done more than who he came on for. That doesn't happen a lot in a Chelsea shirt, that he comes on and you can say that he was better than the player he come on for.
Yeah.
And we saw Sterling, not long before he went off, pretty much fluff another chance, which is all too often in a Chelsea shirt. It was something that I never expected to see Raheem Sterling do, was miss this many chances. Or a lot of people say he thinks for too long and his mind isn't fast enough. And we saw that. And what we saw in MUDRYK's goal was the complete opposite. Pure instinct. Every time something came in, he evaded the challenge, put it through someone's legs, danced around the keeper, finished well, although it was kind of almost cleared off the line. He still had enough conviction on the shot for it to have enough power and go in. And I feel like that could be the turning point for him. He's got a great chance now to have a really good run. I think Sterling, he don't have much to play for. He's not going to the Euros. This could be a chance for MUDRYK to really jump on it and go, no, this is my position. And we need to start seeing some players assert their position, kind of like what we said with Jackson. We'll move on to the defence quickly, because ultimately we have let in 2 goals tonight. 2 good goals, but they've kind of both come from mistakes that probably could have been avoided. We obviously saw the first goal, we were messing around with it in the middle of the field, and it's another mistake. And then obviously for the second goal as well, Cucurella's gone flying in where we've been dispossessed in midfield, and he's been turned. And then the finish from Murphy's unreal, but it's almost made it a bit squeaky towards the end. And it's like, 3-2. Yeah. It's closer than it needed to be. What's going wrong defensively?
Mate, I think after today, I think I've really nailed this one, right? Genuinely, because it just seems to be a common theme. There's no individual who is costing us defensive issues. You can't say it's one player, because like you said, we said at half time, the players individually can sometimes be exceptional, but as a whole, it doesn't seem to work. And it's why? Why is it not working? Is there no connection between the players? Are they not talking? What is it? Is there no leadership there? You can ask a million questions, mate, but ultimately what I think it comes down to is, I don't think, whether it's coming from the manager, or whether it's coming from the players, it's the discipline for me. I think it's the game discipline is just costing us. Because it's the same old story, mate. We go 1-0 up, or 2-0 up, or 1-1-2, 2-1-2. It's the same story week in, week out. We go up against Brentford, we draw 2-2. We go 1-0 up, 2-1 up, 3-1 up today, and it ends in, like you said, a bit squeaky bum time with the last 6 minutes. Us as fans, we don't want to be sat there for the last 6 minutes thinking, shit, are we going to lose this now? Or are we going to end up walking over this from a point? When we've been so good in some areas. And it's frustrating to watch, and it really does take away the goodness from MUDRYK and Cole Palmer's goal and Jackson's goal. Like, it's frustrating.
And even
mate.
Gusto, like, he's so good going forward, and then defensively sometimes
he'll make these
silly mistakes.
And again, that's why I said I don't
Obviously,
know where it's coming
he's
from
so young.
Yes, and there is a lot of young players, so you've got to cut him a bit slack. But it's got to be clear that when we do go into a situation where we are 1-0 up, 2-1 up, 3-1 up, whatever it is, there needs to be a clear decision, because you'll see players going forward like they want to go and score 4, 5, 6 goals. Great. But there's got to be some sort of communication that seems to be missing, like, that's leading to Cucurella
a
making
clear
dumb
message,
mistakes.
saying like, Cucurella, don't step in there, because we've seen Cucurella ever since he joined Chelsea make that movement inside to try and intercept the ball and get caught out so many times. So why has no one coached him to say
not do
don't
that,
do that? Like, these players aren't perfect, and with them being so young as well, like, they're not perfect by any stretch. So they do actually need a bit of coaching, because you're not coaching 28, 30-year-olds here. You're coaching players that have barely played men's football in some cases, right? Gusto is one of them. He hasn't played that many games for Lyon before we signed him, and he's obviously an exceptional talent and could be a really, really good player. Some of the things we see him doing are amazing for a fullback, but defensively, he was obviously at fault for one of the goals today. Obviously, it was still a good finish after what he did, but he did make a mistake. I think you've said it a few times that you feel it's unfair to blame all of this on Poch, because it's not all of his fault, right? Is that these players are making mistakes and a manager can't do much. So all for me that a manager can do is, after that game, address the mistake and say, here's what you can do better. But the issue for me is, I think the manager is making a choice. I think the manager's making a choice, and that's where it's going wrong. He's basically saying that he's not giving a clear enough message on the instructions of how we should be defending, or even how we should be attacking. Because even if we look at the goals we've scored tonight, none of them have really come from a clear and obvious way of playing football. Again,
They're all a bit different, weren't they?
That's it. And I feel like Newcastle were kind of the same today. None of their goals came from a clear and obvious way. And we mentioned it as well, that when we're playing out from the back, we're playing into trouble when we don't change it up. And it is a bit frustrating, and it is a bit concerning for me, and I think that's the biggest issue I've got with Poch. But credit where's credit's due. For me today, half times have been real weaknesses for Pochettino, and look, it's not going to change where I stand with Pochettino. I think it's done with him, but he has got half time right today to go and score another 2 goals. Yes, look, we've let in another one, but he's got half time right. I just feel like some of the messages that he's giving to the players defensively and offensively, they're not clear enough. And I feel like, because we're not in a clear thought of how we should be defending or how we should be attacking, these mistakes are happening, or we're dwelling on the ball when we should be finishing chances. What do you think of that? Because I know you're probably a bit more for Poch than I am. Anything to add off of today's performance, or are you sort of same boat?
Well, he's got another week, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think the thing is, mate.
No, mate, he's only got till Sunday. But
Yeah. With Poch, where I stand with Poch is that I'm not Poching all Poch out, because, and like you quite rightly said, for me, it's more than Pochettino at the minute, and I think I just want to get out of this habit of sacking a manager every 6 months. And look, if they're terrible, they've got to go. I said from the start when we signed Potter, he never should have come in. The Lampard thing, for me, was just odd. Like, I didn't get it at all. I don't know if it was some sort of attempt to kind of build trust back in with the fans.
Yeah,
but look, as much as we love Frank, we don't want him coming back and lose and getting 1 win out of 8 or wherever it was. I don't know.
So your biggest concern is that if we sack him now, like, what's our option, basically?
Who's next?
Yeah.
And then how long does it take for us to yet again get into... Do we just need to kind of give this guy a bit of time? Because I think for me, with Poch, I don't think he's entirely to blame. I think when a manager is entirely to blame, because you can tell the squad don't want to play for him, you can tell there's issues with the club, you can tell they don't
kind
really
of with
care about
Potter.
being
I'd say the players gave up with Potter.
They did give up with him.
I
And
don't
even
think
when
we've
we had
seen that with
Conte
Poch yet.
And Mourinho at times, you could see the players get to a point the club where there was issues.
No, we've seen Chelsea squads of the past get their managers sacked.
Yeah.
We haven't seen this group of kids
suddenly
give up on Poch yet. I agree. They're just actually not good enough, and the manager's not good enough. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And ultimately, who's going to get more time, I think. But I think Pochettino's is finished for me. I know and I hear what you're saying, and I hear the case for Pochettino, and who knows, if we go and have an FA Cup run and we push on, and look, that win tonight is so massive for me because Europe's still on the cards. Although it's such a slim hope, Newcastle are a team that are above us in free fall. It moves us a little bit closer now. We're still way off it, and probably when I load up Sky Sports tonight, we'll still be 10th because that's where we've been all season. But you know what I mean? Like it's a win against an opposition that's above us in the table. No matter what form they're in, we have had tight games against Newcastle. When I would say, right now in this very moment, they're a better side than us, and we've gone and got the win, which I'll take. And that's 2 games at Stamford Bridge against Newcastle where we've come out victorious, whether or not it's with luck or good performance. But look, it's been a pleasure having you on, filming this video.
Thanks,
it's obviously another week or a few days till the game at the weekend, and another big game for Chelsea in a week. Let's see what happens. I will catch you in that. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're new, and I'll put Isaac's socials in the description for you to check out.
Nice one.